In the 1970s, there was a secret plan to fill in this canal. Let's go for a walk. Stretching from Paddington Basin to Limehouse Basin, the Regent's Canal had, since opening in 1820, been a really core part of London's transport network. Goods could travel through central London and make their way along the canal to the Grand Union Canal, where they could carry on up to the Midlands. And it was really popular until the rise of cars and trains, and by 1940 it had pretty much been killed off. It was nationalised in 1948, and by the 1960s was pretty much derelict, so the council started looking at what they could do with this newly empty space. Now, while the canals were dying, car sales were thriving. They were cheap, they were convenient, and they offered a new sense of freedom. But with that, the roads became busier, and the council decided something needed to be done. So they put together a plan for 4 motorways, each forming a ring that would go around London and theoretically reduce through traffic. They were called the ringways. But I can already hear you saying, Luke, I've heard about this from the Mapmen video. So if you've not seen that, then this is all you need to know. One of these was known as Ringway 1, or the motorway box, as it was more boxy than round, and it sat right on the edge of the city boundary. The thing was, there was quite a few things in the way of said road. Luckily, one of them was long and road-shaped. Now, for most of the route, they planned to follow existing railway lines to limit the impact on the local community. But for this part, they needed to get it through Camden, over the north side of Islington to Hackney, and then back into Angel, which would have created a pretty direct east-west route from Hackney to the A40. So engineers decided the best way would be to drain the canal, reroute the water underground, backfill the channel, and then plonk a 6-lane highway on top. 4 or 6, depending on how much budget they had. It's hard to track down the exact plans for this road. It's unlikely that they were ever finished because it would have required a lot of land buying and planning permission. But it wouldn't have been the first time that the London waterway was covered over. The River Fleet was covered over and turned into a sewer, and in one part was covered over by this canal in King's Cross. But all in one go like this, it wouldn't have gone unnoticed. So the council issued high-level maps showing the rough planned route. But they left out the plan to drain the canal. That information was kept stored in internal documents until Crystal Hale got involved. Crystal Hale was a journalist whose flat overlooked the City Road Basin in Islington. Her friends described her as being a no-nonsense, fearless kind of woman who loved boating. As soon as Crystal saw the pamphlets, she decided to join the local management committee. That's where she saw the full plans and realised that not only was her house about to look out on a 6-lane highway, but she was about to lose a space that she thought could be a really important part of the local community. She was absolutely appalled and sent letters to the local council, local MPs and national newspapers. She held these massive meetings at the Angel Town Hall and collected thousands of signatures demanding that the canal stay. And to prove her point, she started the Islington Boat Club, which helped introduce young people to boating on the canals. Crystal's campaign shifted the focus away from traffic stats and towards a different question. What should the city actually feel like? This. At least that's what the council thought. See, these motorways were massively unpopular. They'd already built this one, the Westway in West London, and yeah, it's hard to tell whether this plan would have actually solved the problem, but if you look at other cities like LA, where they have loads and loads of highways, there's still lots of traffic. Imagine this, but in the middle of Camden or Islington. Well, people did, and they didn't like it. So in July 1970, the Ministry of Transport appointed an inspector to review the case, and what followed was Britain's longest ever planning inquiry, lasting 22 months. The case basically went like this. The planners said it was required to reduce congestion, and the opposition said it would only bring more cars to the road. The planners said it was required for economic growth, and the opposition said that it was required for the community and wildlife. After loads of back and forth, it wasn't until 1972 that the Greater London Council finally removed the Regent's Canal section from the map. And then, one by one, the rest of the ringways got pulled altogether. This didn't really solve the existing problem though, which was that the canals were a kind of dingy and dirty place that nobody actually wanted to hang out in. So in 1974, Camden Council designated the canal and the City Road Basin a conservation area, which is a fancy way of not just saying don't drain it and build a motorway on it, but also that they would preserve it and restore it. Fast forward to today, and the canal's a really popular place to visit. The water's filled with narrow boats and kayaks. The towpaths are great for pedestrians and cyclists. There are plenty of places that use the canal as a feature, and far from being a place to avoid, it's become desirable to live canal-side. At King's Cross, there's even a little wildlife reserve. It's interesting how differently we view the space today versus back then. Crystal passed away in December 1999. The day before she passed, her friends and family brought her on a narrow boat ride down this canal that she fought so hard to protect. But her work lives on. The Islington Boat Club still teaches young people how to boat on the canals. What today could have been concrete is instead a flowing public space. It wasn't saved by one lone hero, but a chorus of people with one shared question. What kind of city do we want to live in?